Robert Davis would change his name to Davis Roberts and follow the lure of Hollywood.
I'm still in love and not too old to get in a fight.
Graphic artists would take their work into the mainstream.
I was also doing work for every bank in Chicago. I became the art director of Ebony. I formed a company called Winbush Associates.
Fitzhugh Dinkins formed a partnership with Winbush. They had the first black advertising agency here in the city.
Charles White would continue to garner critical acclaim. New York would become the home of Eldzier Cortor. Allen Stringfellow would work at the Art Center, and his work would become part of many collections, including a United States president. Margaret Burroughs, an artist, opened a museum in her home, then founded one of the country's largest museums of African American history. Susan Cayton Woodson, great-granddaughter of the first black senator after Reconstruction, Hiram Revels, would inherit her brother Horace Cayton's art collection. She would open the Woodson Gallery and become a keeper of the era. Anna Tyler, an artist, favoring monoprints, would become an historian, favoring the history of WPA artists.
Britton's work is marvelous. He was dedicated to the center after the war. He's the person who's probably most well-known as the post-war figure in art connected to the center.
I worked as one of the teachers.
In the late 60s, the civil rights movement was no longer the young child it had been in the 50s. It was a rebellious teenager, and through art would have its say. The Southside Community Art Center would be its venue.
Africobra, which flourished during my time here as director, were challenged, condemned for being poster artists because of the explicit wordage and the very deeply saturated colors that they did. But they deliberately did it that way because they wanted to be very clear about the message.
Africobra is multifaceted. It was very politicized, very decorative, very popular. It absolutely revitalized art in the 1960s. I think it was very important. But it's hard to get a grasp on the movement and hard to define it narrowly.
The expression black art became more popular in the 60s.
There were also artists that came from as far away as Nigeria and found commonality with artists through the Southside Community Art Center.
You would put up Yakini Atande batik and then put a Toussaint Perkins beside it, and it would look like they had done the same subject matter.
Forging its way into the 21st century, the heyday of the 40s had gifted the center with staying power. Gone were the days when George Neal could only sell paintings of whites to whites. Blacks purchased more art, taking pride in seeing themselves or the work of their race on canvas. Yet, while the art market was open, most Work Projects Administration art centers around the country would close. The Southside Community Art Center would join the handful that entered the new millennium. My subject matter has always been what I saw, like jazz, church, telling stories of what I knew about. I never got into the political art of the time. The late Allen Stringfellow was known for wearing the color red and would often accompany his mentor, William Carter.
His paintings were about joy, his costume was about joy. Everything in the red signified that.
Charles White and Seabury and William Carter and everybody were very proud and definite to be black artists. I was a little snobbish. which I'm sorry to, that I wasn't. I just wanted to be an artist. I separated myself from the other artists, all but William Carter.
It was a separation that wouldn't last, but a thought other artists shared. As artists approached a new millennium, they could afford to tell many stories on canvas, political and apolitical, stories of race, and those that simply said, "I am an artist." The Art Center and the artists before them had purchased artistic freedom.
I might have dropped out a little while, but I never left the Art Center. The last of the 80s and 90s, I was on the administrating board of the Art Center.
The center would have a lasting impact on the community of art. As mindsets changed, opportunities for female artists would become more inclusive.
Irene Clark was really the first one to start the Old Town movement in Chicago and North Wales.
African American women would participate in exhibitions from the Old Town Art Fair to fairs and galleries across the city. At the Art Center, women who had not garnered the same critical acclaim as their male counterparts in the 40s would now share creative equality. Marva Jolly's pottery would join Joyce Owens' artwork. Jan Spivey Gilchrist would illustrate children's books. P.B. Taylor Bohannon's works would speak of victory. Elizabeth Catlett would return to exhibit her work among old friends. Rosalie Davis would trade her dancing shoes for watercolor. The list of male artists would continue to grow. Many would integrate their stories of transitions from the South to the North.
It just tells a fetching story. The symbols of nurturing, the symbols of religion, the symbols of transition from a rural life to an urban life.
From the calm of the East to the wide open vistas of the West, artists were free to explore a range of ideas.
Before Kumba came here, they had no base. Pretty much their regular performances here through the years is what launched them into their independent status. Literary group would be Obasi used to meet here until they pretty much disbanded.
I just don't want the Art Center to be known for our art exhibits. I want the Art Center to be known for the literary, poetry, energy coming out of here. I want the Art Center to also be where someone can learn how to collect art. Not only African American art, any type of art. Youth learn about painting, drawing, photography. We try to incorporate math when it comes to framing artwork, how to promote their work, how to market their work, the business aspect of it. Well, we have over 200 pieces in our permanent collection. Chicago and the country need to see these pieces.
As curators of culture, Chicago Southside Community Arts Center continues to document the achievements of a race, the involvement of a nation, and the making of a steady artistic stream of history.